Hi, welcome. I'm Stacy Sargent with Restoration Made Simple, and welcome to another episode of Do You Even? Category 1 edition. This is one of the oldest arguments in water mitigation, I think, which is category of water. And we know that there are category 1 sources of water, and I work with a lot of companies who tell me that they do not have category 1 losses. Right. Even if they have a clean water source, there is a reason when they get on site for that loss to be categorized as category 2. But I'm going to tell you that for the longest time, I kind of sought out those opportunities to keep a category 1 source as a category 1 loss. I felt like I was doing the right thing by the mitigation project, by the adjuster, by the property owner, everything else. That if I had a category 1 source, and we'll talk about some of those. Those are going to be your broken supply lines, your bathtub or sink overflows if we don't have any type of detergent or contaminants in there. And then maybe a malfunction with a water supply line, toilet supply line, ice maker from your refrigerator, dishwasher supply line, those types of things. And what I have actually come to think about is that if I am really concerned about the health and wellness, I'm going to be very careful about identifying any contaminants that might be on site. Now, in older editions of the S500, right, they had under categories of water specific times. After 36 hours, after 72 hours, a category 1 could deteriorate to a category 2. With the most recent edition, that language came out. And the language that they instead inserted was that it can deteriorate if category 1 water flows into a contaminated building. That can constitute an immediate change in the category. And then once microorganisms become wet due to the intrusion, and depending on the temperatures and the time, those microorganisms can start to grow in numbers. And then we could deteriorate to a category 2, which means that there's a significant level of contamination on site, or even a category 3, which is grossly contaminated water. And so the language that I have kind of started to enjoy using when I'm thinking about a category 1 source and how do I determine if it is a category 2 loss is some factors that could influence the potential organic or inorganic load, in a structure are age and history of the structure, their previous water losses, general housekeeping conditions, right? And then also the use of the structure. Is it used as a, rover, pet daycare? Is it used for a child daycare? Is it used for nursing home as hospice in the home due to an illness of a family member, that type of thing? And then we always have the determination of elapsed time and elevated temperatures and elevated humidity levels, right, that can determine a deterioration in the category of the loss. And then also odor can also indicate that category 1 has deteriorated to a category 2. I really am more likely now than not to categorize a category 1 source, clean water source, as a category 2 if I can find a reason to deteriorate it. And again, that's going to be based on the organic or inorganic load that I find present in the structure when I arrive. And the reason why I think that this is really important is so that we can do what we know we need to do, right? So we've got all of these different scoping categories that are going to end up on an estimate. And the ones that I think really can change based on the category of water is if we are extracting water, know that there is a difference in the line item for category one and category two water. It's not a ton difference, but if we are extracting water that does have a level of contamination due to the existing contaminant load of the structure, then we get to charge for category two water. So we should definitely take advantage of that. The other things that may or may not change is really demo items. And those demo items, really the only thing that changes on a category one or category two is carpet pad. And if carpet pad has your water resistant treatment, right, we're going to be tearing that up, whether it's category one or category two anyways. But what will change there is once we do demo, whether it is a flood cut on drywall because we have affected insulation, whether it is removing carpet pad, or, tack strip, anything else like that is our ability to HEPA vacuum and spray antimicrobial. Sometimes it is very difficult for us to get an insurance company to pay for spraying antimicrobial and HEPA vacuuming during demo if it is a category one. And so I think that category two determination really helps us get paid for what we know we should be doing on a loss. A lot of times that spraying antimicrobial is any material that is affected with water can start to grow microorganisms. So even if there isn't contaminants on site, we're spraying the antimicrobial, right, as something to impede the growth of microbial growth. And so not having to get into that category two determination is going to help us with those line items that we know we should be doing. We're not HEPA vacuuming necessarily because there's contaminants. We're HEPA vacuuming so any drywall dust, carpet fibers, anything else is removed from the environment before we start restorative drying, right? But a lot of times adjusters are going to give us a very difficult time with HEPA vacuuming on a category one loss. So I'm not telling you that there is no such thing as a category one loss. What I'm telling you is that if we use the definition provided to us in the S500 and we look, right, we look for any indication that there is contaminants on site due to, and I'm just going to use the language again, right, due to potential organic or inorganic load in the structure due to age and history, previous water losses, general housekeeping, the type and use of the structure or materials that the water traveled through. And then, of course, we have time, temperature, and then if we have an indication of malodor that would indicate contaminants on site, then we can feel very comfortable justifying a category two loss, and then we have the opportunity to treat it properly. So I ask you, do you even category one? Like I still do from time to time, but I do find that there are opportunities and justifications for a category one source to deteriorate to a category two loss, which helps ensure that we have justification to do everything on the mitigation end, the extraction end, the disinfectant, HEPA vacuum, and cleaning that we know we should do to feel good about leaving that structure in a healthy condition for those property owners. So just a thought. Happy categorizing. We'll see you next time.